Hey, everybody, welcome to the witching hour, that hour of the day when the veil is thick and magic happens. We have some beautiful, handy magic for you today. What? Yes, we have. She's an author, she's a palmist, she's even an interior decorator, Paula Victoria Dye. Welcome to the show, Paula.
Hi, Patty. Thank you for having me. I'm so happy to be here.
I am thrilled to be here. I got a copy of your book from your publisher, your new book, in your hands, A Kid's Guide to Palmistry. And I've fallen in love with it. I'm like, what a great concept. I'm intrigued with palmistry. Anyway, I am not a palmist, don't know how to do it. But it's since I was a kid and was very accurately read at probably the age that's reading your book, I've been intrigued by it. So where did this come from? An idea of doing a palmistry book for kids?
Sure. So I guess it all started from when I learned my grandmother taught me a little bit about palmistry. She was not a palmist. She was a very superstitious Filipino Catholic. So that's sort of the upbringing I came from. But she planted the seeds quite literally in our garden. We would be gardening. And so that is where my origin story of learning palmistry started. So fast forward into the future, on Instagram, I started an account just to track my studies. It wasn't meant to really become anything. It was sort of like a diary account. And I followed Moondust Press, who is the publisher of the book. Um, I talked to Andy at Moondust Press, and we decided that there was sort of this need in the market for this how to for kids for palmistry. There was a lot on tarot and astrology. And so now it's palmistry's turn. And I said yes. It was just an automatic yes. I treated it as a way of healing my inner child, I guess. So I know a lot of current practitioners, we really struggled to find books on bookshelves and in the library that really, suited our studies and our passions. And I want this book to serve as that. I want, that curious kid to find it. And so that was the purpose behind creating it.
I love it. Well, I think again, just my perspective, my palmistry, as far as the divination arts, is almost a lost art. I know tons of psychics, tons of mediums, types of whatever they want to call themselves, and different forms of divination along the way. I know one palmist.
Wow.
That's it. And I live very much in this world between my witchy stuff and my psychic stuff and my paranormal stuff. I'll be at a convention and there'll be a reader, 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 not one of them working with palms. Why do you think that is? Or is that not your reality because it's always been a part of who you are?
No, that's totally my reality, and I'm always shocked by it. So I do a lot of events in the LA area too, and a lot of times there's tarot readers and different healers and all these different divinatory arts, and it's beautiful. It's so amazing to see. And then I'm like sprinkled in there as the one palmist, and sometimes there's someone else who does palmistry, but it's along with other things like tarot. So it's one of the many things and tools that they use, but it's not their core specialty. And so, I've heard I'm not, like as I jumped back into this world, almost 10 years ago now, came back to it, I guess you could say. I've heard that there was a lot of negative connotations put on palmistry, like it was very much you walk past the psychic who's on the second floor walk up in New York City, and they're trying to get you to do stuff like pay more money. And so people kind of put this negative connotation on, I'm going to find out really terrible news, like when am I going to die on my hand? And that's not at all how I see it. That's not at all how I learned it. And so I would love to bring it back. I want more and more people to realize that it's a tool that they can use that's readily available. You don't even need a deck of cards. You don't need any sort of tools. You could have other tools, but you just need to look at someone's hands. And so I think that there was just a lot of fatalistic viewing of palmistry, and that scared people away from it. And there's a lot of different cultures that use palmistry, right? There's so many different studies. There's different ways you can approach it. There's different reasons people use palmistry. but at least the way that I view it, it's very much showing who you are on the inside. It's literally a reflection of who you are. And so it can be used as there's a lot of crossover with astrology and the correspondences that astrology uses. And there's, you can even relate some of the mounts to different tarot cards, right? And so I think that it should be brought back. I'm pro palmistry coming back.
Me too. Me too. And now I'm going to read your book and learn it with all my 8 to 12-year-old friends.
Yes.
'Cause again, it's like, so
I think
to
for
be,
everyone.
I do too. That's why I really want to do it. It's like, I don't like to get overwhelmed by books. And this has beautiful pictures. And I see how, again, I don't know anything about the astrology is in there because you've got planet names on the fingers and mounts and all sorts of things.
Right.
Taurus, Jupiter, Saturn, I mean, thumb, Jupiter, Saturn,
The thumb is the
Republic.
thumb. I don't know why. I'm
The
like,
thumb is just the thumb.
can we just give it a cool name just to just to put it on?
Thumb. I like thumb, um, so how much of it, I know as big read, like read tarot or different kind of things, how much of it is what I know this line means this and this line, and how much are you just taking from spirit, your own intuition reading the, is it a balance there?
I would say it's a
When
balance. In the book, since it's for kids, right? It's for 8 to 12-year-olds, but I think it's kids of all ages, really, because I think it's a very approachable way to exactly. It's a very approachable way to look at palmistry. I say that it's one part intuition, it's one part physically how the texture of your hands, and then also one part what you see in the hands. So it's sort of split into thirds. As my practice has developed, I feel like a lot of it does come from spirit, a lot of it is intuitive. And it comes with practice, right? Palmistry is a practice, palmistry is a craft. So it comes along with that. As my practice has grown, as I've connected with different people, there definitely are, spouts of mediumship that come in there. There's definitely channeling sometimes that comes in there. Sometimes I'll be sitting with someone and a book that I'd never thought of, but I've heard of comes into my head, right? And so I use it as an example. So things like that do happen. It's a reading, right? It's an experience. It's connecting with someone energetically. So those things do happen in a reading. But I think in looking at the hand physically itself, since that is the tool, right? There is so much that you can see in the hand, almost like you're reading a map. It's sort of like the map that you're given. And the way I like to see it is the left hand is what you're born with, right? And then the right hand is what you make of your life. So depending on how fiery you are, there could be very different hands or there could be very similar hands. And so it's really fun to see those tidbits.
I love that. So born with on the left, what you make of it. So do your palms change with experiences, trauma, uh, or whatever? Is that going to change what your palms look like?
Absolutely, all the time. So actually your palms, the skin on your palms change, I think, more frequently than most of the skin on your body. And that's because we're using our hands all the time, right? So that skin changes, it sheds, new skin comes about. But it's a way of showing that everyday experiences, even little exchanges, energetic exchanges with people can change the lines on your hands. So everything on your hands change all of the time, except for your fingerprints, usually, unless, something happens in passing to them. But everything changes. And so what can change in the hand? So the mounts can change. So if you do this funny view of your hand, you can see parts are higher. I always use Venus as my example because I have a unusually large Venus mount here. But everyone's got different mounts. Those can change over time. The lines shift and change over time. So usually I tell people come for a birthday reading every year or come for an anniversary reading if it's a couple's reading, right? Because it's a really fun way to celebrate that moment and capture that moment of yourself and celebrate a full return, right, of the experiences that you've lived, the happy moments and the not so happy moments.
I love that. I cannot wait to come and have you read my palm.
Oh, I would be honored.
Yeah, no, I would love it. My first experience with, um, anything like this, I was a kid, like I said, in that 8 to 12, and it was in an old folks home, my mom was singing, and she grabbed my hand and started reading me. I didn't ask her for it, so I'm not sure about that.
Yes.
Yes,
Little
uh,
effie.
That's not what works for me. I'm not gonna give somebody a reading who doesn't, but she nailed me on the head, everything. From
Wow.
how many husbands I was gonna have to reproductive problems to and it shaped me positively and very negatively in some
Mhm.
aspects. I'm expecting this to come into it.
Right.
So, like with any divination form, are you very, it's, you're not going, this is going to happen. I mean, I saw the bits and pieces in your book. You're going to come from this positive, this guideline kind of.
Right. Yeah, I definitely don't come from this negative connotation of this is definitely going to happen because your fate is in your hands. I'm a huge believer of that. You know, you could tell someone one day this is exactly how your life is going to pan out based on your hand today, but they can leave that moment and decide to quit their job, decide to move to another country, decide to end a relationship, and then could totally derail, right? Because they decide, I don't like the way that sounded. I'm going to make a change for myself. So, the way that I enter a reading is saying, you know, your fate's in your hands. I'm going to tell you what I see. And if you don't like that, that's up to you to change. Nothing's set in stone at all. And I hope that this book shows that because it's, you know, I also received readings as a kid, you know, at Renaissance fairs and, you know, relatives who, you know, I didn't ask for it, but they grab your hand and they tell you things, you know, and it sticks with you and it's not always great. And so I think, yeah, I think the most powerful tool is telling someone the tools they have to create the life that they want. And then it's up to them to do that.
Right. I agree. I like that. So, do you think palmistry itself is a good beginner divination system? If somebody wants to learn divination and they don't know what, do you think that, again, we're trying to bring it back. So,
Yes,
it,
yes, we're bringing it back. I definitely think it's a great beginner divination because there's layers. So the way that I wrote the book is based on sort of the like beginner layers of what are easy to see in the hand to little bit more detail and more complicated parts of the hand, like the lines, the small minor lines that you can see, the symbols on the line. So those are towards the end of the book, but at the beginning, it's very much how flexible is your hand. So you can
I
even
saw that.
see yeah, like that's really anyone can do it. And I actually did a career day a few weeks ago as all of the hats that I wear. So I was the author, the palmist, and an interior designer. It was the first time I had done that. And it was really cool to see all the questions. It was middle schoolers, so it was a tough crowd. And I passed around the book. They had this preview of the book before it came out on the shelves. And you could see them whispering, and they were going like this, and they were going like this. And so I think it's an easy approach to just step into the world of, oh, anyone can, you know, flex their hand back. Anyone can see how flexible they are. Anyone can see what's, you know, what seems puffy on their hand, the texture of their hand. You can see some lines on the hand and shapes. So even measuring the size of your hand means something. And I think anyone can do those things and just leave it at that at first. So if it seems overwhelming, it's okay, let me focus on flexibility today, or let me focus on one finger today and notice that out in the world. So yes, I do absolutely.
I think that's beautiful. And again, I love that you're catering this towards kids because, in my experience, I work with kids a lot too. They are so much more in tune and intuitive that as adults, it gets taught out of us so often in our
Mhm.
modern society. But kids are there.
They
Before
are.
it gets taught out. So it's great. You're probably teaching them intuition in a safe and positive way. That
I hope so. Yeah, I so this book, interestingly enough, I wrote for, you know, my inner child, the healing, right? So I wrote it before I even thought about having kids. But once the book came out, you know, the process of writing takes time and to get it out there in the world, it's like birthing a child in itself. I now have an 18-month-old. And so I get to see her reactions to because she sees me reading palms sometimes. And so sometimes she'll bring over my ink printing stuff and she'll point to her hand and she'll want me to print her hand. And I see that already in her, but I also see all the intuition that comes with being little and young and not taught out of you. And so as many kids as we can teach that it's a gift rather than something that society doesn't welcome, I think is great. I think that that's amazing. I think society will be a better place because of it.
I agree. So can you read an 18-month-old hand, a baby's hands? Do you see things already developing?
You can, absolutely. So, like, the day she was born, literally within the hour, she was on my chest. It was right after all of the hard labor, and I was like, "Oh, I gotta look at her hand." So, I saw literal newborn, fresh hands, and, the obviously, hands grow, they change at that point, they're so little, so you don't know certain things, but if you've ever seen, like, a baby who's like under a month old and you notice, oh wow, like their fingers seem long, like not even someone who's a palm reader, you'll be like, their fingers seem long or their hand is so cute and chunky. And you notice those little things that all mean something. It's hand type. And I think when they're that little, the thing to focus on is what is their hand type, which are elementals. So fire, air, earth, and water, or combinations of those. And that's the first thing I noticed on her. She has really chunky, cute hands. And she's she's grown into this too, and she's very much an earth hand. And so she likes her stability. She likes her routine. She wants to know what's coming next. And she'll tell you like how she wants things done. And so you can see things like that. You can see the lines. I don't pay attention so much to the lines because they're changing every day. They're deciding, I'm going to walk today. They're deciding, I'm going to say mama today, and so those change so often. But I would say when they're that little, the hand shape says so much and it helps so much in parenting too. It's been really fun.
Oh, that's great. Oh, I love it. I love that you meant I'm an elemental witch. My whole thing is elemental. I'm on this
So you
planet.
get it.
So how and without giving away the whole thing, what is an earth hand versus a water hand versus an air hand versus you see, is it like going by the shape, by the
So it's going by the shape and it's going by the line quality as well. So I have fire hands. They're pretty typical, like, if you see it in a textbook, it's a fire hand. So for two of the hand types have more rectangular hands. So this length is longer than this length. And so, those hands would be, water and fire. And so if there's rectangular shapes, it's either water or fire, and then you measure and this is in the book as well, and that's, like, easy. Some people will take out a ruler, but I'm like, if you're a kid, you just wanna do it on the playground, and do it real quick on, like, lunchtime. So, if you measure this and then your fingers are shorter than the full length, most likely you're a fire hand, you could be a combo. If your fingers are longer, you have water hands. Um, so it's fire hand.
I think I have a fire hand.
I
Yeah.
think you do too. Yeah.
Does the shape I mean, I have big hands. I think that's my bone I mean, I have man-sized hands. I'm regular size everywhere else. My feet and my hands are really big. Is that telling in itself? Little hands, big hands?
Absolutely. It's presence. So you have quite the presence. I don't think anyone has to tell you that. We all know.
Hand.
Yeah, there you're like, I'm here. And then even finger size, right? So sometimes you'll look at a hand and right away, like any person would notice if you see a hand and someone has a smaller pinky finger or a larger Jupiter finger. And then sometimes people have really big thumbs and sometimes people don't, right? And so, for example, a really big thumb is someone who wants to be in control, right? That's like the boss type who's like my way or the highway. Really tall Jupiter fingers are like, I am front and happy to be in the front teaching, leading. I'm like the CEO who's the face of the company, and so there's different ways you can look at lengths and then overall hand size as well. Yeah, it's fascinating.
That is fascinating. I know now in the book again, you have the different kinds of lands. We've heard about lifeline, heart line, headline. Is there one line that's most telling to you on any one person?
Yes, I love when I do a reading, I love to start with when I get to the line part, I save it for the end and you can tell people like, "Oh, well, what about my lifeline?" And then I save it. But the headline I read first, and the headline says a lot simply because you dictate how you run your life and your headline shows how you think. And if you read how someone thinks, you're showing how they're going to make the decisions, how they're going to change their life if they're going to, right? So someone like my daughter who's an earth hand, she likes her stability. She might have a very similar structure to how her life is run. Even if she makes changes, right? She'll still want her routines. She'll still want, her breakfast like so and however she grows up to be. But someone like a fire hand could be really impulsive and want to do 17 things instead of one thing. And so the way they make decisions and the decisions they have to make will change their life much more than someone like in our hands.
So kind of knowing what you are, then you could lead into what works best for you in a sense. Oh,
Right, right,
like,
and then the headline, you'll have a shorter headline or a longer headline. You can have a headline that goes all the way down to where Luna is, so you're imaginative, you might be even like a daydreamer and not really there all the time. Maybe you're in the astrals somewhere half the time. You could have a very short, headline, meaning you make decisions very quick or very impulsively, depending on other elements of your hand, right? So maybe it's like a good thing and it's intuition. Sometimes someone has a short headline and it's their intuition kicking in, and then you can see, oh, are they an intuitive person or are they just really spontaneous? And maybe it's not a great thing, you know? So that's what I like to look at first. I think that's the most telling for sure.
I think that that is so fascinating to me. Um, well, writing this book again, because you're promised and talking to the publisher, did something surprise you about the process of it? Were you looking at your palms a lot?
The process, things that surprised me in the process. So I
Yes.
think, yeah, something, something that really surprised me about the process was how much kids really wanted to know, like how much detail they could absorb. Because at first I kept it really surface. And I was like, let's just stick to lines. And then I started getting questions from kids. I would read their hands, print their hands. I have a little kid template for online readings too, for parents to go over with their kids, and this was before the book came out. And so they would ask me things like, there's this little line here. What does that mean? And can you tell me about this line? And what does it mean when this is a little pink and this is a little white? And so that sparked more detail in the book. And then I think the book ended up being double the size of what the publisher originally wanted, because we didn't realize how much detail the kids really wanted to see. And you know, there's always gonna be that kid who's so curious, they just wanna dive in and get lost in a whole world of learning something, and that's what the book was really for, was for that kid.
That
I feel like I was that kid, but all the other kids now who are that kid.
right. Oh, that is beautiful. Now, maybe not in your kid's book, but
Mhm.
do health or health weaknesses show up in your hands as well?
They do, and there are actually readers who, in other practices, I think more so than in, Western Hermetic, which I mostly practice as Western Hermetic. But in, I think, Vedic palmistry too, it's a big focus. In Chinese palmistry, it's a big focus. And so there is a health line on your hand, which you can look at, but you can also look at the coloration of your palm. You can look at the texture of your hands, the quality of your nails, and sometimes the shape of your nails. And that can show a lot. Like, you can show if someone has respiratory problems, if their nails are curved a certain way, or if they have a vitamin deficiency, if there's, you know, those vertical striations on your nails. And sometimes if you have certain coloration on your palm, it can mean like high or low blood pressure. So things like that. In readings, I tend to stray away from it unless someone specifically asks me. Something that I do like to point out is there's a lot of names for it, but it's, you know, simply put, is an allergy line that shows if maybe you're prone to autoimmune diseases, inflammatory problems, allergies, eczema, anything that's sort of inflammatory or allergy related. I like to point it out because I have celiac disease, and there's, you know, you have one autoimmune, things can sort of trickle in.
Yeah.
And, you know, going through the process of getting diagnosed, I know how difficult it is to vouch for yourself. And so, I like to give people that sort of, maybe you should go speak to a professional, or it's not in your head, something's going on, but it's not my job to diagnose you. And I sort of, you know, push them along the way. Or I can tell them if it's probably hereditary if they're worried about that. You know, maybe someone got diagnosed with something that's hereditary, and we can kind of talk that out if it's worth exploring. But I always say, I'm like, I'm the first stop, but I'm not the diagnosis. It's not my job to do
No.
that. Yeah.
No, I again, that's what me, besides 3 husbands, she saw that I had reproductive problems, female problems, and I was way pre-puberty, and then when I hit puberty, I didn't hit puberty. That's when my health went awry. But she was like, "I see you having fertility problems, gotta have babies." And then she literally said to a little kid, "Oh, I see you have 3 babies, but they're dead."
Oh my
And
gosh, so
yeah,
much.
and then I hit 15, 16, whatever age, and going, puberty is not hitting me right. I am in menopause instead of
Mm.
puberty, which I
Oh my
was.
goodness.
And I'm learning this stuff. Then the doctor's going, well, we could give you fertility medicine when you want to have children, but you have multiple births. But your uterus is so small, you probably can't carry them. So I'm like, 3 dead babies, three
Oh,
dead, everything she said. So it probably did influence me. And I wouldn't even try that because of what somebody told me when I was a little kid. It was, but she was really right on. Maybe how
yeah,
she said it, I don't know.
I
But she,
know. I talk about that too in the book is the delivery means a lot because how the words your words carry power, and I want, anyone who's learning to know that, but especially kids, right? Because kids are so blunt. They'll tell you. They're not gonna hold anything back. They don't know that they're supposed to be polite about things, right?
no.
Not until they know, but until then, they're the biggest truth tellers there are. And so in the book, I really, really emphasize energy exchange and how you enter a reading is important. Like if you enter it angry, it's going to affect the reading. Like any reading, right? Setting the tone is important. Clearing your space, even if it's like simple things for kids to wrap their heads around, like open a window, let the breeze in, and
Mm,
clear out your space. Ring a bell, right? Things
I
that they can really wrap their head around as a
I'm a
begin.
bell girl. Oh,
I am a bell girl too. And so I give them those tools. And then at the end of the book, I'm like, please be mindful that your words carry so much power, And the way that you deliver a reading is important. You can tell someone, like, wow, that's a short lifeline, which doesn't actually mean a short life, but you can say that, and then it's going to scare the crap out of someone, and they're never going to want to go to see a palm reader again. And I think, Patty, that's what happens. I
yeah,
think I think there were too many people telling people they had, dead babies and short lives, and no one wanted to see palm readers.
right. I don't even a reader. Yeah, but again, I am fascinated by it. That's when I got your book. I'm like, I'm re-inspired.
Yeah.
So this is so fascinating. You guys, any age at all, I totally recommend this book. There's beautiful pictures, explanations, easily written. There's exercises, shapes of hand. It's just, oh, there's your air, fire, water, earth. So, so now you're here in Southern California area.
Mhm.
So before we go, tell people where they can, number one, get your book, where they can find you, website, social media, any live events that you have coming up would be great.
Yeah, sure. So you can find me at I'm on Instagram. P is for Palmistry. It's P dot is for Palmistry. Same on TikTok. I'm very new on TikTok. So please give me love. I don't know what I'm doing yet. I'm figuring it out. You're so great on TikTok though, Pat. You got it down. Um,
When working on
and
it.
I think we all are figuring it out. My website is psforpalmistry.com. So everything's pretty simple. On there, you can book readings when they're available. Right now, I don't have anything available, but I'm hoping to later in the summer. So you can sign up for my newsletter on my website to see when they'll be back online. I post all of my events when I'm good about it on my website, but all of the time on Instagram. So if you follow me on Instagram, you can see all my live events. Right now, they're all in the LA area. So what is coming up in June? I have an event in Venice. So if you're a West Side person in Venice, the Tiny Bandit, you can find me. I don't have the exact. I think it's June 14th, the Saturday. It's a Saturday, but it's on Instagram. And then at the end of the month, I'll be at Heritage Square Museum at Magic Market. And that one is a ticketed event. So be sure to get your tickets before they sell out. I've been part of that community for a really long time. And also the Tiny Bandit community. I've loved being part of both of their communities. And I do readings in both of those places often. So you can find me there in June. And I am in the process of figuring out what I want to do for book signings, for book tours and events. But I'm hoping to do um, like obviously kids classes. I do adult classes as well, 101 classes, hoping to have a series later this summer as well. So keep an eye out for that. And I would love to do like a mom's day out palm printing event because it's been a trend, I think, in the last couple years where moms are supposed to print their kids' palms every month, and everyone's intimidated by it.
Oh,
Like, just to track like, it's like, they take the month pictures of 1 month, 2 month, 3 month,
yeah.
but there's this palm printing thing, where they're supposed to palm print their baby's hands, and it's hard. So I'm figuring out where that's gonna be, but I would love to do that, and do, little mini baby readings and, mom readings and book signings that way.
I
So
love that. I'm gonna follow you. I can't wait to see. Now, if somebody they're nowhere near California, and when you are doing readings again, can you read someone online, or do they send you a picture of their hand, or is there a way you do it like that?
yes, so I actually started doing readings online during the pandemic. So it was all virtual. I've done readings all over the world. It was such a fun experience to just get back into it that way. I have instructions for virtual readings on my website when you sign up for how to take the palm print pictures. Most of them are easy, like great lighting like this, like take a picture of your hand. There's some funny ones like this. So I suggest having someone help you take some of the photos. But it's really fun. I mark everything up on Photoshop actually, and we do sort of like a Zoom reading for 30 minutes to an hour and just go over everything. We can zoom in on your hand. It's like a little magnifying glass on the screen. It's fun.
Oh, that's fascinating. I can't
Mhm.
wait. Well, anyway, oh my gosh, thank you so much for bringing your handy magic to the witching hour. Any words of wisdom or last words for everybody? Yeah.
Um, Well, I think in you sharing your experience from when you were very young, Patty, I think there's such an importance lately, especially with the power of our words and the power of energy exchange with people. So, in this experience of learning any sort of divinatory practice, if you pick up my book in your hands, if you are diving into tarot, anything like that, choose kindness and be mindful of your words. There's always a way to say something that will inspire someone and get someone moving to where they're not dictating their whole life by something, and just, have fun with it. Let loose, follow your intuition, dig in.
Wisdom indeed. Thank you so much, Paula. You guys, check her out. P is for palmistry. Follow her on Instagram and TikTok. I am going to. And I'm excited. Thank you so much.